because at some point, Jeff, we're going to be tired. We're going to be tired of making phone calls. We're going to be
Yeah.
tired of doing buyers and sellers consultations. Even when you have a team, you're going to get tired of training and mitigating issues. And so we deserve to retire too. That's
Yeah.
really how I feel about it.
So let me ask you this: so you because you talked about exit, the residual income. What like the power of residual income? Talk
It is
about that for a minute,
powerful.
because most people don't understand that.
So it's
Actors
so
get it,
powerful.
musicians get it, authors get it, whatever. Insurance agents, if they build a big enough book of business and whatever. But realtors, we don't get it. Like there's no other business out there. Like the power of residual income. You've mentioned that several times. Talk about that for a second. Why is it so powerful?
So I really didn't understand it until the founder of Exit came to Atlanta and they had this big summit. And he really talked about us being in an industry where we're one of the only industries where we work, number one, on a promise to get paid. So we don't even know if we're going to get paid. We spend countless hours counseling, showing property, listing property, and we only get paid when the transaction is completed. And so he would always, that stuck out when I was sitting in the seat, like, I never looked at my industry from that perspective. And then he was like, and then what are you going to do to retire? That means you have to be an investor. You have to, invest, build your own retirement portfolios out. But what if I could show you a way that you could build, endless income? And so that stuck out to me because I think maybe I was in my 40s, and my early 40s at that. And so at that point, you begin to think at 40, like, okay, so I got to figure out how I'm going to retire. That's coming sooner than later. And at the time, I had a goal of being retired by 55. And so I was like, man, I got to hustle. So it just made sense to me because at that time, how many seminars you go to, and some of the brokers would say it, you're only as good as your last transaction. You're only as good as your last transaction, right?
Yeah.
And so that just like rang like a death ring in my ear. Like, what? This is not good for our industry. So how can we take our skill set? Because let's face it, we help people with one of the most important transactions in their entire life, but we probably get the least amount of respect in the whole transaction, right? And so I'm thinking, like, how can we change this? And just sitting in that seat, listening to him talk about, you know, what the residual could do. And it made sense because there was a retirement component. And literally, you could retire from the industry and still get paid from all of the people that you had, sponsored over into the company. And so that really just rang with me. I mean, it made so much sense because at some point, Jeff, we're going to be tired. We're going to be tired of making phone calls. We're going to be
Yeah.
tired of doing buyers and sellers consultations. Even when you have a team, you're going to get tired of training and mitigating issues. And we deserve to retire too. That's really how I feel about it. So that residual
For sure.
income gives us the opportunity to build a stronger retirement portfolio.
Absolutely. How has it come in handy for you? Can you share the story? Because it's just, I know you have a powerful story there. Do you mind sharing
Yes,
that
I
real quick?
can. So I know a lot of people are like, okay, so you got all this experience and you've been here. How come we don't see you on the icon, panel? And so now it's what, almost 4 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And at the time, it didn't seem like it was going to be life changing. He had just a little node on his back, and you're thinking, okay, you can have surgery, everything will be okay. But that node like grew overnight, like rapidly. And what we found out is that he had one of the most rare types of sarcoma, which is a um, cancer of the flesh, basically. And his was so aggressive that it went from the size of a pea to the size of almost a Nerf football in about 4 months, maybe almost five. So you know how the healthcare industry is. It took them forever just to get him scheduled for surgery, all these things. And so finally, he went through surgery, but everything was very tumultuous. It was just, it flipped our family upside down. And I just didn't work. I didn't work for about 2.5 years. Luckily, I had already come over to EXP and had attracted myself personally, probably only 5 people, but those five, I think it was about 15 people under me at that time. And literally the revenue share came in handy. And the crazy thing is, Jeff, I was still so unplugged. I didn't even really understand what I had with EXP. I remember when I first got the first revenue share check in my bank account, I was like, "What is this? I don't even know what this is." And so I had to go online, do the research, and figure out what it was. But it may seem small, but that little $1,500, $2,000 every month, like it allowed me to stay home, go to every chemo session, to every doctor's appointment with my husband. I mean, it has made such a difference in me and my kids' lives because he passed away in February. And
Sorry.
it allowed us to really spend a lot of time with him and me not be stressed about, real estate sales and things like that. So EXP has been a blessing to my family.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that.